So it's really emotional mastery, right? It's the key to doing that. Because if you're scared of the emotions you feel when you fail or you don't enjoy them, then you're not going to do it. And so really that it's not like being clever or intelligent, it's an awareness of your emotions that could enable you to succeed.
Now, this is a special episode for me. First, let me introduce you to Tom, and then I'll tell you why it's special. This is Tom Hunt. He is the founder and CEO of Fame, a B2B podcasting company. He has over 7 years of experience in online marketing and has built Fame into one of the most successful global podcast agencies that helps B2B businesses scale through high-quality podcasts. Fame has grown significantly, reaching over $4 million in annual recurring revenue without raising external funding. Tom is also the host of the podcast Confessions of a B2B Entrepreneur, where he shares insights on entrepreneurship and content creation. Before Fame, he experienced multiple business attempts and roles, including consulting and operations, and he is also an angel investor in various startups. Why is this episode special? Tom's company Fame is my podcast producer as well. And I believe, Tom, I was one of your first clients when you started out. Is that correct?
You were very early, yeah, maybe top 10 or first 10 out of 250. So yeah, you have a very special place in the heart of Fame.
Well, thank you very much. I feel like I'm kind of like at the airline checking in, saying I'm going to get my upgrade.
Exactly, yeah, loyalty points.
So, Tom, let's just start from the beginning. You know the deal. Tell me your journey and the moments that have led you to where you are currently today.
Yeah, so let's pick out the aha moments. There wasn't one, there might be two, and there definitely wasn't one after school, like deciding what I wanted to do in my life. It was more just like I chose chemistry is what I studied at uni because I was like slightly interested in it. And so I spent 4 years studying chemistry. And then I kind of realized in the final year, I didn't really like enjoy being in a lab on my own, doing really detail orientated work. So was that an aha moment? Maybe that was the first one. But it wasn't that inspired in that the thing I went to, I also didn't really like, which was management consulting. So I did 4 years.
Question. Why did you go to chemistry to begin with? Something must have attracted you. What attracted you?
My dad studied material science. My brother was doing electrical engineering. And I was just quite like biology and chemistry. And I was quite good at it. That's probably why. I found it quite interesting, like learning how things work. But then a valid follow-up question is why then choose management consulting? And that, again, it wasn't an inspired choice. It was more like all of my peers were either going into finance or they're going into consulting. And I just wanted to like earn some money. So did 4 years of that, 2 years at two different places. And again, like learn a lot, enjoyed parts of it, but didn't like being employed, basically. So that's probably the second aha moment. Like can't do like detail orientated work on my own, don't like being employed.
I'm going to guess the third. Can I guess the third?
Please.
You're a people person. You can't be locked up in a room with chemicals and things, but you like that, but it's not enough. That's my guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think I have maybe two unique abilities, like a thing that you're naturally really good at. And I think it's marketing and management. And both of those are very like people focused. And so I think you're right there. Anyway, so back to it's 2014, right? And I'm working at Accenture as a management consultant. And I set myself the goal of replacing my salary with a business I started on my own by the end of the year. And long story short, I essentially was able to hand in my notice in December of that year with a small internet-related business that I'd built. And so from 2015 up until today, I've really just been trying to make like a business work. And I've worked on probably 25 different businesses. And then Fame, the business you mentioned, is the only one that's like worked. Like they all taught me a lesson, but Fame is the only one that has objectively worked or is working.
And why do you think that is? What was different with Fame versus all the other ones?
Well, I think it enabled me to harness my two unique abilities, marketing and management. Because we're obviously a marketing agency, we have to market ourselves. And then being an agency, we have to develop, like find and develop and keep people. So I think that that's the core reason. The secondary reason I think is the fact that I learned so much from being obsessed with online businesses for a decade prior to today.
I think you said something very key that a lot of times people forget. And they often go through life and they make a decision and they come across saying, oh, I made a mistake, and they're upset. They regret it. Sure, that's one avenue. But the other avenue is, did you learn from it? So if you learn from it, then it's no longer a mistake. It's a learning event. To me, it's a mistake if you don't learn from it. What do you think?
Totally agree. I actually did a TEDx talk in 2014. I think I was still working at Accenture, called Stop Thinking, Start Failing. All based around, like, it was a very cringe talk. We can link to it in the show notes, still on YouTube. It was all based around the Michael Jordan quote of like, I fail over and over and over again. That's why I succeed. So yeah, totally in agreement.
Well, that's the other thing. We've talked about this on this podcast a few times. If you want to increase your success rate, double your failure rate.
Yeah, so it's really emotional mastery, right? It's the key to doing that. Because if you're scared of the emotions you feel when you fail or you don't enjoy them, then you're not going to do it. And so really that it's not like being clever or intelligent. It's about having like an awareness of your emotions that could enable you to succeed.
Sure, but there's another reason, more basic to me. People only learn by experience. You didn't learn because your mom said, hey, don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove. I guarantee you touched the stove one time. And then you say, yeah, I shouldn't touch the stove. That's how people learn.
Agreed.
So it's not a failure, just learn. If you learn from it, you're growing. And if you're growing, you're gonna get it.
Yeah, that's the one piece of advice I would tell myself probably if I went back a decade. Because I was always like so not anxious, but like just really wanted to make it work. And what I tell myself is to just keep going, keep like making all these failures, because eventually you'll stumble on something that you can make good enough so that other people will want it. And that's ultimately what happened with Fame.
So let me just go back. You failed in how many businesses before Fame?
Define failure as we have already. I have probably started 15, but worked on 25. So also like work with other people on their business.
So let's just say not failure, but which ones have survived on move on? You've tried 15, not all of them have, but Fame has definitely hit the mark for you.
I don't think today any of the 15 are still around.
Okay.
Fame is the only one.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because that shows something. I don't know what number it was. Maybe it was the first one. Maybe it was the 15th one. I don't know. But at some point, you came to a point, you say, you know what? It doesn't matter. Throw anything you want at me. I will survive. And that's a key thing in life. And here's the thing. Even when you come to that fork in the road, when you say everything's being thrown at you, the universe is just throwing everything at you. You have two choices. Are you going to laugh or are you going to cry? And which is correct, which is incorrect? And I'll argue neither is incorrect. You can do either, but there's one for sure answer you're going to end up doing. Either way, you got to move forward.
Yeah, probably the lowest point in the journey, which could definitely be deemed as a failure. Before I share that, like my biggest fear is like having to get a job again. Like, I worked out, I hated being employed in that 4 years. Anyway, in 2018 or 19, one of those years, I basically had to get a job. I ran out of money after 5 years of failing. And so I joined a company that I'd actually invested in. I knew the founder is head of demand generation. And I spent a year, just under a year actually, working there. Again, enjoyed some parts, hated being employed, but ended up creating a podcast that was really valuable for them and that enabled me to start Fame. My old employer, the company I was working for, became our first client and then are actually still a client today. I think they're one of the only customers that have stayed longer than you. And so even in like the lowest part of the journey, that was the seed that sprouted into Fame.
What was the moment that made you realize, hey, this is the direction I want to go?
Do you know what? It wasn't like an inspired decision. It was more like I again realized that I couldn't be employed. And so I had to make money to like live in London. And so I actually built an email list on the side, like in secret. I won't do that again. You have to tell your employer what you're building. And I should build an email list on the side. And then because we had worked out how to build and grow that podcast in-house, I just sent an email to that list because it's all SaaS marketers. Sent an email to that list being like, did anyone want to start a podcast? And then we had one person reply, and then I sold the podcast service to them without my employer knowing, which is not the best thing to do. But yeah, it wasn't an inspired choice. It was more like, I have to leave. I can't do this. I can't like be employed.
But I think you also told me when I first talked to you about doing a podcast that you learned it was a great door opener that leads to a lot more than just doing the podcast, right? Some people want to do a podcast to, let's say, monetize it with advertising, whatever. But you said there's a whole nother benefit most people don't realize. So can you maybe expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually think, so I've run a podcast for like 4 years. The biggest benefit for me is using it as a door to meet people that you would normally meet. If you can like prove to that person who you want to meet that it's going to be worth like 45 minutes of their time to record something with you because you're going to expose them to your audience, then that's a very easy like door opener to like get to know them and then ideally build a relationship from there if it's a fit. And so that could lead to you signing partners, signing customers, making friends, you know? And so that is like the undercover true benefit, I think, of podcasting, along with all the other marketing upsides.
And I have to say that's very true, but there's another benefit too. Maybe it's for people like me. I absolutely love having conversations and you just learn so much. So even if it doesn't directly benefit, like you and I do something, but you learn from it and it enhances your ability to analyze and look for other opportunities and uncover other insights.
Learning, another key benefit for sure.
Absolutely. I've learned a lot from the conversations I've had.
Have you
had a few moments in our conversations.
I can imagine. How many guests? You must be on like over 100 guests now. Oh,
I am, yeah.
Show.
Yeah.
Would you say that any of them now are like friends?
Oh, for sure.
Like you've met in person and like you chat regularly?
Yes, I have met a few in person, absolutely. And I do chat with them, but I've also met a few in person that I've put into the podcast.
Nice.
It's worked both ways, you know?
Offline to online.
Yeah. So it's worked both ways. And that has also deepened the relationship because I met them. And plus, usually those people are much more in proximity, right? In terms of physical proximity. So that's even more. But I've met several that I met online, but then eventually met in person. And several, even when they came overseas, where I was, overseas at the time.
Very nice. I have a theory about human relationships, right? And my theory is that the more violent the emotional roller coaster you go on with that person, the deeper the relationship. So if I think about my core friendship group now, they're all like the people I went to school with or the people I went to uni with. And that's like a big roller coaster, you know? And so that's why I like the podcast thing, is because when someone comes on a guest to your show, it is a bit of an emotional roller coaster. First, they're like maybe a bit nervous, then they get excited, and then they get a bit nervous. And then you go through the process, and afterwards you feel like really relieved and happy. And so it forms a bond, right? I'll tell another quick story from my show. So I had a guy on, he's founder of a marketing agency in Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. Cool guy, cool agency. I love the content his business produces. And then at the same time, I had another guy on the show who I'd actually known before, but then I wanted to get him on the show, a guy called Nathan Lacker, very famous in the world of SaaS. Anyway, fast forward to today, and I'm going tomorrow to Amsterdam to speak in a conference. And then the day after the conference, I'm going to go to the office of the Amsterdam guy. And then that guy, Nathan, is going to come and we're going to create content together. Now, I don't think that I'd be able to do that without going through the podcast experience with them. So that's an example.
But I think you hit upon an interesting point there about relationships. It's kind of like, the chain is only strong as the weakest link, correct? You've heard that, right? It's similar in human relationships, right? The strength of a true relationship is not how you survive the good times. It's how you get through the bad times, right? It's those shared experiences. And I found that you need at least 3 things to be able to do that. And I'd love to see if you agree or even add to it or change it. It's fine with me. 1, you need, first of all, good communication. And that means not just talking, but listening. And 2, you need empathy. And that doesn't mean that you guys agree. It means even more specific, that each of you feel like you're being heard. Even if you don't agree, but at least you feel you are heard and the other person understood your point of view. And even then, you can agree to disagree respectfully. And the 3rd is trust.
Communication, empathy, and trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
pretty... change them? Want to add to it?
Would I change anything there? Communication, yes. Empathy / understanding, yes. Trust, yes. Yeah, I think the first 2 definitely. I think the 3rd one like emerges over time. Like if you have good communication and empathy for each other, then that will build trust. So I think it's quite hard to have trust straight away with somebody, but that comes as a result of the second 2, in my opinion.
Well, that's an interesting point you put up about trust. Because I have this conversation. There's 2 ways people can go into a relationship, right? You can give 100% and then say, okay, you can dial back. or you can give 50% and dial up to 100%. Which is correct, which is incorrect.
Interesting.
I find it easier. I give it 100% from the beginning.
But then to that risk,
I always know. Well, there's always a risk. I mean, what are the two guarantees in life? Death and taxes. But after a while, you do this, you learn, right? There's a learning curve. You learn, you keep fine-tuning your gut, you fine-tune your observation, you fine-tune your communication. If you can establish communication, empathy, and trust, then you're on the road, even if you don't agree or don't like the person. But if you have those three things, you can get through it. I'm not saying which is right or wrong, I'm just telling you what I've thought about it. And so I've learned, no matter what, you give time, people always reveal their true colors. Then take a week, 2 weeks, 10 weeks, I don't know.
But then if you go in 100% with somebody, but then it takes them 10 weeks to show their true colors, then you have like...
Well, when I say 100%, am I going to give them like thousands of dollars? No. Right? I mean, even 100%, I'm talking about trust. We're just talking about trust, right? I trust they'll do whatever you guys are planning or talking about and so on. But it's not going to be that long before you say, hey, they're not coming on time to meetings, or they're not, being follow-up. I mean, after all, you're going to see that, right? And what I'm saying is, when you see the true colors, believe them. That's all. Don't think you can change it, because you can't change it.
Oh yeah. That's a good life learning, isn't it? Realizing that there's really no point in trying to change people.
The only way change happens is if they want to do it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Once you see the true colors, believe them. But then you only have one choice. Can you live with those colors you see or not? And that's when, if you can't live with them, you're done. If you can live with them, maybe you'll dial back the trust to maybe 80%. I don't know.
Yeah, nice. This is a good mental model for relationships. It does, yeah. Maybe I need to be more trusting.
Right. Well, I think you'll get to the truth faster.
True.
Because people aren't dumb. If you don't trust them, guess what? They're not going to trust you. I mean, if you think you're going to, like anything in life, if you think you're going to put in 80%, expect 100% back, it doesn't work that way. You're going to get out of anything what you put into it.
Agreed.
But you're welcome to challenge. Hey, I don't know. Maybe we'll come to a new equation.
No, I think I probably am less initially like trusting than you, maybe. But maybe that's holding me back in building deeper relationships faster.
Why do you think that?
Because let's say I have somebody reach out to me and they're like, I have a lot of people reach out to me to come work for Fame, for example. And my default response is just go and apply on the website, even though they've sent me all this amazing info on email. And so I'm almost like not trusting what they're saying. I'm like, you go and just apply and the team will deal with it. But maybe if I was more open, more trusting, I would speak to them and realize, actually, yeah, this specific person is perfect for the team. Then I could probably fast track them through the application process, and then we would have better people faster. So I think that's an example of that could be holding the Fame back or me back from capitalizing on good relationships.
Well, you made me think of an example. We were hiring somebody for, as you know, I have a restaurant, and we were looking for someone to help us with our digital marketing, because I always have a digital marketing company. Because, once you're Indian, you can't just do one thing. It's an unofficial official rule in India. If you're Indian and you do one thing, you're not going to be Indian for long. You got to do more.
You have to have side projects if you're Indian. Is that like a national rule?
I think it is, but now it's a rule for everybody. Who doesn't have side gigs anymore?
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. The world is becoming more Indian.
Yeah, everyone's becoming Indian. But anyways, this guy came, and it's kind of interesting because young guy, hungry, and I was with my business partner, and we're quite different. He's a little bit more black and white than I am, and I don't mean that bad way. I mean, he agrees, we agree. And so this young applicant came, and we said, "So what do you do?" He said, "I do everything perfect." I think you probably would have reacted the way my partner did. No one's perfect. I don't believe it. I don't trust this. I don't like it. So he went on talking about this and trying to give him a lesson, like, you don't do this. And I'm just listening. And then we found out he's from the Middle East. And I'm fortunate. I've taught, I've traveled. So I kind of know that chances are it's part of his culture. He's a bit, boasting and, putting his chest out. And so I let these two go for a while. And I asked the young guy, I said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" He said, "Nothing." I said, "Can you come here and make me 3 reels?" He said, "Yeah." "I'll pay you for it." He said, "No." I said, "Okay, up to you." He came the next day, made 3 reels, and they were great.
Really? Perfect.
They weren't perfect. They were not perfect. No, they were not perfect, but they were damn good. They were workable. And so my business.
And did you give him a job?
Let's hire him. Yeah,
nice.
He's still with me. It's gotten better. We've gotten better. But he had something that it's hard to find. And that is, he kind of had three things. He was a doer, he was hungry, and he was a thinker. Now, was it the right thinking? No. But then once I got to know him, he also had the other element. He loves solving problems. But if I'd gone the normal path, and this happened a few times now, people that we've hired, and I've just learned everybody has a positive, negative. As great as you are, Tom, as great as I am, trust me, I have negatives. You do too.
What are your negatives?
Oh, come on. This is going to outlast the podcast. I have a certain image to uphold here.
Of course, yeah, silly. I'll give mine. I think detail is a negative. And then also, I think that, I mentioned I did like 15 things in 5 years. I think I'm quite good at taking action and like doing stuff, but I'm not great at like being strategic about where to work on. So it's like this lack of attention to detail, lack of patience, which basically probably meant my journey was longer than it could have been if I was a bit more strategic. So those are two things that I, in the future, will need to work on, I think.
Do you love hearing about people's aha moments? Is there a guest you would like to hear from? Or do you have a question for Darshan? If so, head to iresearch.com or drop a comment for us here. Better yet, leave us a review so we can keep bringing you stories and insights each week. And whilst you're there, hit that subscribe button to ensure you don't miss any future episodes. Thank you for listening. Now back to the show.
Look, I think even with positive and negatives, right? You can have a positive today, and that same positive may work for you 7 out of 10 times, but 3 out of 10 times, it's going to be a negative, right?
Yeah, true.
So they're relative. I mean, so they're not static either, right? I think the thing is just recognize everybody has positive and negatives, and they change. They can be great one day and bad the other day because of other reasons, right? Same thing with me. I could be in a bad mood, and I'll come across differently than I was if I was in a good mood. So in general, everybody has positive and negatives. And I've learned if you can try to tap in people's positives, your chances are you will both move forward. And that goes to another philosophy I've kind of learned over time is I try to create win-win. So I'll give you a simple example of a win-win. I meet someone new, I make them laugh, and I laugh. That's a win-win. I meet 4 more people in the day, so I have 5 people I had a win-win with. Now that's a good day. But secretly, I might even try to shoot for 6 or 8 birds with one stone. Why? Because that's my game with time. If you think about your most limited resources for you, me, everybody's listening, is one thing, time. So I don't actually have any battle with humans at all. My battle every day is time. And what's interesting is Father Time will give you 10 minutes. And Father Time doesn't care if you do nothing or 6 things. He's still going to give you 10 minutes. And when those 10 minutes go, they're gone. You'll get another 10 minutes. So my game is, what can I do to maximize the time I've given? And the thing about the laughter is, I don't know if it's true, but I've always heard laughter is the best medicine. So I figured if I make 5 people laugh a day and I laugh, hey, maybe I'll get another 10 minutes down the line.
What's an example of like another win-win that you've, I guess with your business partner, right? That's probably a win-win relationship.
But we didn't meet on business. We met socially. But even now in business, I try to create win-win-win. And you can have more than one win. Because at the end of the day, everybody has self-interest. If humans don't have self-interest, why do we need money? So everybody has self-interest. You can always try to align them in self-interest. So I just think of analogy. If you and I have a self-interest, we align ourselves, we find 3 more people. Hey, now we got a bus. And if we can get a bus to a destination, it may not be fast or slow, it doesn't matter. But that chance, we might have better, but more success with 4 of us than 1 of us.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is like a crucial like marketing skill is being able to take someone else's perspective, because everyone is self-interested, and you're only then going to be able to influence someone or change someone's behavior if you understand what they want, and you do that by taking their perspective. So that's a very useful thing.
I think you bring up an extra point. Let's talk about marketing. What is marketing? At the end of the day, what is marketing in its bare essence?
Communication to influence.
That's one of it. I would argue it's the exchange of value, right? I'm going to give you money for something. You're going to give me a value that I think is worth that money. Fair enough?
Well, I would say that's like the definition of business. And you use marketing to get to the point of where you do the value exchange.
That's true. But business is also cost control. It's, keeping tabs of your business. I mean, there's many other things. I'm just talking marketing in its bare essence. It's the exchange of value. And in all honesty, most people don't care about your product, your service. They don't care about that at all. They care about what you're going to do to help them. And therefore, people will pay you money to do one of 3 things. They will pay you money to save them money. They will pay you money to save them time. They will pay you money to make it easier, more convenient. And I would argue if you can do all three, your chance of being successful increases 3x. If you do 1x, 2x, 3x. But I learned something different also. There's a fourth element. You know what that is?
No.
If you can evoke an emotion, now you're talking a whole different ballgame. You're talking 6x, 10x, 12x. I don't know. But I knew one thing. It's more than 3x. At the restaurant, my team does two things. That's their only mission. Delight our customers. And we try to get to wow with every dish. And knock on wood, we're at a 4.8.
So wow, that's like when someone tastes a dish they think is amazing. So that's how you design the menu.
Yeah. Not the menu, the actual dish. Each dish. Obviously, I can't get to wow with every dish with everybody. But guess what happens? If you can evoke the emotion, what do you think is going to happen next? I think 2 dominoes are most likely to fall. And it's been consistently proven that's pretty much the case. Which 2 dominoes are going to fall?
They're going to tell their friends.
Yep.
And they're going to leave a review.
That's partly telling friends. They're going to come back.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. Yes.
And in marketing, what is your best prospect? A new one or your lowest hanging fruit, which is an existing customer?
Yeah, nice. Do you have like a loyalty scheme where people can like get lower cost or free stuff over time?
We do informally, but I'm working on a much more formal one. Yeah, and it's really kind of cool actually. But I haven't released it yet. It's going to be released later this year.
I can't wait to come to the restaurant. When I'm next in Bangkok, I'm coming, you know?
You've been telling me this for how many years now?
I have, but I haven't been to Bangkok.
You travel all over.
It looks like I travel all over.
Look, my account managers come here more than you.
Yeah. That makes me so happy, you know, when I saw the pictures of that. Anyway, at the restaurant, which is the best-selling dish? If it's just like the roast chicken?
Yeah, it's the chicken.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's different because it's the only one available in Thailand.
Well, like roasted like that or roast chicken in general?
Well, one is rotisserie. That's one, but it's wood-fired rotisserie. And 2, it's Peruvian, so it's got the triple win.
Peruvian wood-fired chicken.
That's the way you should do it. It's the best way to cook meat over a fire, especially wood charcoal.
There we go. Didn't know that. And especially Peruvian as well.
Peruvian's quite special. I got used to it in the U.S. and I loved it to the point I'd get it once or twice a week. And amazingly, it wasn't available here in Thailand. Now
it's not really available in the UK. There's a couple of Peruvian restaurants.
There you
definitely
go,
no like
JV. See, that's what a podcast can lead to, man. You can have a relationship, have a JV done right on the podcast.
Yeah, you can start a Peruvian chicken restaurant.
Yeah, you don't need to come here. I'll come there.
But what's the name of the restaurant again?
Carmina. Carmina. Yeah.
And does that mean something in Peruvian?
It's a character we came up with, Carmina. She's a cross between Amelia Earhart and Indiana Jones. And it's kind of related to what we're talking about, actually. The concept is she's traveled the world. She's been a bit of a maverick, a renegade. She is from South America, but she's learned one thing. Having traveled the world, and I think you can speak to this because you travel a lot now, you find that people are more in common than not.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
What you find... Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I found that out quite early on in my travels, you know. Well, what would used to happen is I would come back and someone would be like, how is Australia or how is like Brazil? And I'd be like, well, the people are so nice. But then I would just say it about every country, you know, like, and then you stop believing the news about how people in Russia are evil, you know.
In any culture, you're going to find good and bad. In any person, you're going to find good and bad, right? I guarantee you have a devil, I have a devil. It's just a matter of what's going to trigger that devil, right? If someone comes to hurt someone you love, you could become a devil.
Yeah, I agreed.
Right? But going back to traveling, one thing I've learned, let's just do this. We don't know our listeners, right? I mean, we know them, but we don't know them, right? Mm-hmm. But you play the role of the listener and advocate for them. And I'm going to make some assumptions and guesses. And you tell me if I'm wrong or right. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Right. I'm going to assume you and I, as well as all of our listeners, have 24 hours in a day. Fair enough assumption?
Yeah.
Guaranteed, right? And I like the power of 3. Are you aware of the power of 3?
Just that when you're communicating, if you have 3 things, it can be more impactful.
Yes, but it extends to many things. Which is more stable, a tripod or a 4-legged table?
Tripod.
All right. How many wishes does a genie give you?
3.
You get the idea, right? I mean, you look at, movies, Acts 1, 2, and 3. You look at religion, right? Using things in threes. Why? Because 2's not enough. And when you go beyond 3, it gets to be a little bit too much for humans. 3 is a nice, sweet spot. So if we go on the power of 3, I would divide the 24 hours, the 3 8-hour segments equal. And I would argue the first 8 hours are for sleep. That's the fountain of youth. If you want fountain of youth, that's it right there, sleep. I mean, your body does amazing things if it sleeps. And you don't have to do anything, just sleep. And it does healing. It actually does its own introspection. When you can't, it does it for you. How many times you go to bed and say, let me think on it. Next morning, boom, you have clarity. How did that happen? You were sleeping. Because that's when your conscious and subconscious realign on its own. So that's the power of 8 hours sleep. Yep, next 8 hours. That's where you work. That's where you engage in the world to provide for you, your family, and to live a life. Because we live in a man-made world where money is the exchange of value. Agreed so far?
Yeah, I'm with you.
We're still a good advocate for the people.
Yeah, we have. What's the remaining 8 hours for then?
There you go. That's the beauty. You tell me. I would argue that remaining 8 hours that we spend 16 hours for are for the 4 Fs. That don't go R X-rated on me. Just keep it clean, PG. Right? What are the 4 Fs?
I reckon fun.
Yep.
Friends.
Yep.
Family.
Yep.
Freedom. Food. Yeah.
That's it, man. Everybody, I don't care where you're from, you're going to want those 8 hours to be for family, friends, fun, and food. And that's the basis of why Carmina exists for us. It's a place people can come together, have good food with their friends and family, and have fun and have good conversation. Because good conversations are what leads to what you and I talked about earlier, connections with humans.
Wow, nice. You tied that up very nicely.
Pretty simple, right? But we as humans, man, we can complicate life like you can't believe. I can do the same thing. Don't worry. It's not like I'm immune from it. But at the end of the day, it's the pure simplicity of that.
I mean, it's a great.
Your wheels are turning. Your wheels are turning.
Did you?
So what do you
come
think?
Up with that branding yourself, or did you work with agency?
It's in my book.
Well, getting it
released before I. Yeah, you never read my book. There you go, Tom.
Oh yeah, I see it's in the pipeline. Wow, that's amazing.
You can bump it up the list.
Yeah, I will now, because that's an incredible brand story. Do you have that? What I love restaurants where like either on the menu or like on the walls they like talk about the story. So do you talk about that like
the front page? I do on the front page of the menu.
Yeah, there we go. Those are the best restaurants in my opinion.
But not everybody reads it. Not really, like to say. But it's part of our core. If you think, why do people go out to eat?
Yeah, I would say only a small proportion go for like just for the food.
Yes, why do they go
for the other? They go for the other fun, friends.
I'd say it's definitely for food, but that's not the reason, right? I mean, it's really going for Actually, I'd say it's even more simple than that. They're going for an escape. I mean, look how busy everybody's lives are these days. But you still got to eat, and you have a choice: eat a quick meal, alone, or take some time out, go out at night, with your loved one or your special someone, or your group, your posse, whatever. Because at the end of the day, you want an escape, but more than that, you want an experience. That's what people want. Because people aren't buying products anymore; they're buying experiences. And that's what we talked about a lot on this podcast: is talking to people who pursue experiences. But to get those experiences, you need insights. And when you have those insights, then you have the beginnings of differentiation, innovation, and ultimately loyalty. But more than anything, if you keep doing this, you keep learning, insights turn into foresight. Now that's really powerful.
There we go. Yeah. Is this the final chapter of the book?
Actually, I have 2 books coming out soon. Not soon, but I'm working on 2 books. One is called The We Need, and the other is, I have a title, but it's if you could pick 2 metrics to run your business, which 2 metrics would they be?
Or I think it would have to be retention rate and profit margin.
All right. So what if there would be CLV, customer lifetime value, or lifetime value, right? LTV, CLV, whatever you want to call it, right? And the other is CAC, customer acquisition cost. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, I think I like mine better. Well, actually, I think lifetime value and retention rate, like the retention rate, if that goes up, then the lifetime value is going to increase. So actually similar. acquisition costs, again, like if you're spending too much for a customer, then your margin's going to go down. So the margin will tell you about that as well. So
Yes,
I think both of ours are connected, but I
they are
understand
connected.
your reasoning.
They're absolutely connected. But let's just start argument and say, go with me on this one, right? Let's say lifetime value and CAC. Of the two, which is the most important?
Lifetime value.
Right. I would agree completely. Why?
Retention is the foundation of growth.
Yeah, because we just talked about earlier, who is your best prospect and lowest hanging fruit?
The existing
Customer you already have. So if you have a happy customer and you can make them happier for longer, you've now extended your lifetime value of the customer. And as a result, they're going to do what? They're going to recommend and they're going to be an ambassador for you. Now you've also reduced your CAC. There you go. That's a win-win.
There we go.
But let's flip it around. Let's go after CAC. Thinking CAC is going to lead to LTV or CLV, whatever you want to call it. But what's going to happen there? Because your goal with CAC is what?
Cut costs.
Cut it down, right? As low as possible. But guess what's going to happen to your lifetime value?
It's gonna go down.
Yeah, because you're probably not going to get the right customers.
Yeah.
It's an interesting phenomenon, isn't it?
So you're saying that we should pay more for customers if they're the right ones, obviously.
You need to target the right ones based on what you can afford and then cultivate them to replicate them.
Yeah, nice.
Because there's an inverse relationship between the two factors. When LTV goes up, your CAC goes down, but it's not inverse the other way. This has been a great conversation, Tom. I really appreciate it, but I have one question to ask you before we wrap up. If you could have lunch or dinner with anyone in the world, who would it be and why? In fact, this is your question you gave me.
Yeah. I love this question. So I'm not going to say the obvious one and the most important one, which is obviously coming to the Carmina and having lunch with you. But aside from that, I think it would probably be Peter Thiel, because I think he is like an excellent strategic thinker. And so I guess I get an hour with him for lunch, right? And so I would just like try to dig into like his current game plan of what he's trying to achieve and how he's trying to achieve it, because I think it would be fascinating.
Nice. That'd be interesting. Yeah. He really is one of those people that's very involved and integral, but also very stealth.
Exactly. Yeah. He's like kind of behind the scenes, but he's pulling all the strings. And I love to understand like why he's doing the things he does and like how.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, listen, Tom, this has been quite special. Thank you very much. And also thank you and your team for everything you do for the podcast. Appreciate it. And I hope to do this again with you.
My pleasure, Darshan. Maybe we'll do a live recording from Bangkok next time.
Why not? Let's do it. Thanks again, Tom.
Thank you.